The Enneagram 6 believes people and doubts people. So this is often described as the contradictory nature of sixes. There's other contradictions to six, but that's a central one, maybe the central one. In the six's growth journey or awakening journey, there will come a time when the six is going through a process of disillusionment. The six mind will have favorite models or favorite teachers, favorite idols, maybe institutions, maybe political parties. And there will inevitably come a time, especially on the spiritual path, when everything will start to seem fake. Now this won't happen for everyone, but if the path is taken far enough, then this will happen. This happens for other types too, but perhaps it's most crushing to the six mind. It's most disorienting. It has the biggest impact on the six's process in life. And it's not the typical, what happens is, so for me, as a six, I know the process of disregarding certain teachers, certain teachings, being very careful about that, generally. I know the process of resonating with a teacher or teaching for a while and then leaving it behind. And using doubt as the tool to navigate all of that. And I've gotten used to that, and I see it as a natural process for me. Even though at first it was disorienting, my mind would jump to conclusions like when I was on my way to letting go of a teacher or a teaching, there was questioning about how I could make that mistake, and that I did something wrong by giving them authority, or by seeing them as a trustworthy, valuable source. Now I see it as part of the process. We come together with people and we let go. That comes to the things the people we look up to, too. However, there's a process happening for me now where, like, even the ones that I still really value, the systems, the models, the teachers, like, say for me, spiral dynamics, integral theory, or these sort of models, or enneagram, they're all, it's like, and I'm not set in this perspective, but like they're made up, and not in the obvious way, but to me it's like, no, they're actually like made up fully. So it's this sort of sense that everyone's wrong, that there are no valid sources. All spiritual teachers, like even ones I like and value and have valued, like they're wrong. And I don't know what their experience is like. I'm not saying they're lying or they're like that's hard for me to know. I'm not going to jump to conclusions. It's like a very strong projection, but it's more like what they're saying isn't true rather than they're wrong. It's like it's not this duality of oh they could be right but they're wrong. It's like they couldn't be right. Nothing they said could be right. Nothing anyone says could be correct or could be true rather. No model could be true. And and yet they exist. Yet people who I elevate are talking and I'm it seems like they believe in what they're saying or it seems like the creator like Ken Wilber with his integral model, specifically the levels of consciousness of development, it seems like he sees that as true, or Claire Graves' model, or these systems. So it's weird. It's like I do have a belief that they're more developed than me in most ways, and that they are further ahead on this path. They know a bit more than me. But if they do, why aren't they mentioning? Besides, like in a little aside, oh, and all models are limited or all models are whatever. It's like, why aren't they making that a bigger point? Like, why aren't they saying straight up, like, hey, this is made up. This is completely made up. This is not true. And they do say like all models are untrue, but some are useful. I believe that's a common phrase. But I have the question like, why don't they make that a bigger point? All these people, and then Eckhart Tolle and like spiritual teachers, why aren't they saying like, hey, all of this is untrue. All of what I'm saying is untrue. So where I'm at with this, there's a theory going on in my head that it's not about the thing being untrue or true that I'm finding out. Because I'm finding out something very very legitimate, but it's not about the thing, the object of my attention, the model, the teacher being untrue or fake or real. That's a projection. It's what I'm seeing that's not real is the thought form of that in my own mind. So there's some kind of implicit value that my psyche like subconsciously injects into certain teachers, certain models. It's like another way of saying it is I'm deputizing certain aspects of reality. I'm giving them my own internal authority. This is all happening like behind the scenes. And which is why the six reacts, and the six's defense mechanism is projection. Like the six reacts to the world, and because to the six, the thing itself is untrue. It's very this projection, like the authority projection, is so deep for a six. It's so deep and invisible. And so before undoing the projection, because that comes at a pretty late developmental stage probably for a six, before being free of their primary defense mechanism, they start to deconstruct those projections while still projecting. So I'm still projecting authority onto a teaching or teacher or a whole subset or all of them. That's kind of what happens for me in glimpses where I'm like, all of this is made up. They're all spewing bullshit. But why aren't they saying so? I don't understand. I still don't understand. I do understand that I'm deconstructing parts of my mind though, and that just to keep going, I trust just to keep going with it. So this projection is so invisible that it's too big a task with six to just undo that. Um, the six can deconstruct the authority of the projection though, and what it seems like temporarily, I believe, is that, and it's scary actually. It's like there's psycho music, like no one has it. Everyone's lying unknowingly. Everyone's a joke. There is no one who knows anything. Even the people who say they do don't. They're somehow more advanced in some way than others, like Eckhart Tolle, Ken Wilber. But what they're doing is still like completely foolish. Like they're acting as if it's real. So, just being theoretical here, to if that is a projection, bringing it back would look like me recognizing that there is no external authority. There is everything is what it is, featureless, characterless, except for what I project on it. So if something has an authority over me, I'm doing that. And so it's not that the teaching is fake or real, true or false. That's a separate question. What I'm discovering is that my projection of authority on them is fake, is not real, is untrue. And the process of the evolving mind is to become disillusioned with anything being above me. In other words, and that anything being separate, it kind of ends the separation too. First, it equalizes, and that makes the boundaries more blurred. And then it's like, well, what's the point of being separate if nothing's higher or lower? This is also talked about with the six. Everything's higher or lower, superior, inferior, more valuable than me or less valuable than me. Can offer me something or takes away from me. Nothing's equal in my experience as a six. Everything must be categorized. But this is all unconscious. I don't have to do this. I'm just witnessing it. So, if I de-authoritize everyone, I'm not really interested. What's the point of hearing them? The only reason I was ingesting teachings was because I thought it would. They were in a position to teach me. Now it's like fuck. The focus is on me now, which sucks because I actually still kind of feel weak. The six has that self-image is weak, whether they know it or not, and yet I'm the only one who can possibly act. Like creation is the only move now. Ingesting from the world is valueless to me. Why would I do that? It was worth alienating from myself when others had value for me. But when they don't, then creating is the the thing to do. There's a being compelled to, like right now. I was spending all day studying on my computer, learning, and it just, the feeling of it just sort of washed out. Like, this isn't going to save me. And there's this meaninglessness, this nothing worth doing sort of sense. And so create a video. It's always interesting when we read the enneagram and we see the virtue, we see like the passion and the virtue, like fear and courage for the six. It's always interesting that it seems the path we imagine when we read about it is not how it actually happens developmentally in the person. So I can force just courage, or acting in the spite of fear, but really my experience has been playing out the personality tendencies all the way and seeing what naturally happens. Like, so for this, learning so much from so many different sources to see that there's a non-realness to them. If I keep evolving, then I see that. And really, it's my authoritizing them was not real. My sense of them as able to teach me something is not real. And I'll just end with one thing about J. Krishnamurti. Look him up if you don't know him. J. Krishnamurti. He's a six. He's very spiritually awakened. And perhaps his main teaching is no one has anything for you. Nothing can ever be taught. There's nothing worth teaching. So this is a particularly six life-changing kind of process to come to that. And so a bit of clues for me in seeing like where this could go for me is I see him at a very awakened six, and he's on this fully extreme end where he's dead now, but his YouTube avatar is just very absolute about it. No one can teach you anything.